It's Friday, the 18th of February, 2022. Welcome to the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Morning, Michael.
All right, 5 stories in 5 minutes. Story number 1, a big story, this one, Sean. We might all be paying much more for power after Origin Energy brought forward the closure of its only coal-fired power plant by 7 years to 2025. It's only 3 years away. There's now questions about the reliability of the national electricity grid.
Yes, Origin will accelerate its efforts to reduce its carbon emissions, which investors like, but it also increases concerns about energy supply and certainly price hikes, particularly in New South Wales. The Eraring generator is the country's biggest coal-fired power generator and, as you mentioned, will close in 3 years' time. Remember, AGL Energy's Liddell plant is due to close next year. Now, taking that much energy offline is going to cause problems because while there's much more affordable renewable energy going into the national electricity market, coal power still meets the bulk of demand. Now, New South Wales Treasurer Matt Keane said that state will build a very big battery to help out. That'll take years. Federal Energy Minister Angus Taylor criticised the move and said there is now a risk of much higher prices for households, small businesses and heavy industry. In the end, the boss of Origin Energy just said the economics didn't stack up anymore. A very, very big story.
Yeah, it certainly is. And 3 years is not long. Story number 2, Sean, nothing is as precious to many mum and dad investors and also really to retirees who rely on investment income as the Telstra dividend. And even though the telco giant's first half profit slid, the dividend has been maintained. It's good news.
It's good news for a bunch of retirees, that's for sure. Now, remember, Telstra is the most widely held company in the country with about 1.1 million shareholders. Many of them rely on those dividends for income. The interim dividend of 8 cents a share announced yesterday equates to a tax-free return of about 4%, which is much better than putting your money in the bank where you're earning about 0.1%. Now, Telstra's net profit fell by 1/3, but that reflected a bunch of one-off things. The numbers were pretty solid and revenue per user was up, and that's because people are using the 5G network that Telstra is rolling out. Investors weren't as impressed, though, with the result, and Telstra's share price fell 4% yesterday.
Okay, story number 3. It's a good time to be looking for a job, Sean. The latest unemployment figures show the labour market continues to do really well.
Yes, the official unemployment rate was unchanged at 4.2% in January, and employment rose by nearly 13,000. A loss in full-time jobs was more than offset by a gain in part-time jobs. Pretty good all in all, particularly given the surge in Omicron cases during the first couple of weeks of the year. The big change in January, though, was total hours worked, which tumbled 8.8%, and that reflects that COVID slowdown. But that's expected to bounce back this month. Now, participation rate was pretty good as well. All in all, the labour market, which is critical to interest rates, looks really good. In fact, Michael, online recruiter Seek yesterday said more job ads were posted in January than any other month in the company's 25-year history.
That is pretty extraordinary. That's an amazing stat.
Yeah, it sure is.
All right, story number 4, Sean. We've been talking a lot over the last week and a half about Australia's relationship with China and the fact that it's really been politicised over that time. Now the former spy boss for Australia has weighed in.
Yes, former ASIO Director General Dennis Richardson has bought into the politicisation of Australia's relationship with China. He called it dangerous. He said attempts to create a division between the coalition and Labor when it doesn't really exist, risks damaging national security and only serves China. Remember, this week both the Prime Minister and Defence Minister Peter Dutton have claimed Beijing wants Anthony Albanese to win the next election. Traditionally, national security is a no-go zone in the run-up to elections. That's been thrown out the window. Later in the day yesterday, Defence Secretary Greg Moriarty endorsed the need for bipartisanship on national security. They might be scoring political points, but it ain't helping Australia.
No. All right, story number 5, Sean. You might remember at Christmas, particularly in New South Wales, the PCR testing system for COVID really just collapsed under the strain of trying to do a couple of 100,000 tests a day. Hong Kong is planning to COVID test the entire city. This would be a massive logistical effort.
It sure would. I mean, it's actually a strategy that has been used in parts of mainland China in an effort to get control of COVID. Now, this latest outbreak in Hong Kong certainly isn't in control. And according to Bloomberg, that's what they're thinking about doing, testing the entire city, which is 7.5 million residents. The funny thing is, if they get all these positives, where will people be housed and quarantined? So one of the reasons not to do it is because if it's really successful, they've got a major problem.
Yeah, they certainly do. All right, that's it. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you very much, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Friday, the 18th of February, 2022. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if you'd like something a little bit longer, you can find our other daily show called Fear and Greed on your podcast platform. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.